frequently get asked the question, what determines if I print edible images and put them on my cakes, or if I make the handmade fondant decorations? And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 different things to consider. Number 1, edible image decorations are pretty easy to make, and I can decorate a cake really quickly with edible images. So for example, I'll show you this Bubble Guppies cake, and this one I printed edible images and was able to decorate this cake in about 3 to 4 hours, whereas this Bubble Guppies cake has all fondant decorations. Each character probably took me about 45 minutes to an hour to make. The second thing to consider is if you are a beginner, edible images are very beginner friendly. You just have to learn how to use your edible printer and print them out. I like to cut a nice even white border around them. I have tons of videos showing you how I do that, but you can see on these Sesame Street cakes, these are all edible images and they look really nice. And a beginner can totally do something like this. The third thing to consider is color consistency, because if I'm decorating a cake with edible images, a lot of times I will also have fondant decorations on there. And sometimes it's difficult to match the fondant decorations to the color in the edible image. For example, I'll show you this TikTok cake that I make that's all fondant and everything matches. Whereas on this one, I printed some edible images and the pink in the heart doesn't really match the pink fondant, which is okay, but some people would just prefer to have a more consistent look. The fourth thing is a lot of people believe that fondant decorations look better than edible image decorations, and I will show you an example. In this Blue's Clues cake that I made, this is all edible image decorations on here, whereas this one that I made, which is pretty much the same design, that is all fondant decorations, and I think the fondant ones look a lot better. However, you have to be skilled in making two-dimensional or any kind of fondant decorations, and I'll show you this one that I did. I did this one years ago, and that's before I really developed my skill of fondant decorations. So in that case, I think the edible images look better. But if you are really good at making fondant decorations, then the fondant will most likely look better than the edible images. And the main reason why I would do fondant decorations rather than edible images is because of customer preference. Now, a lot of people perceive fondant decorations as more valuable and artistic. And believe it or not, I get a lot of people who come to me because of my artistic abilities in being able to make these fondant decorations for my cakes. There are just some occasions where people really want to have a wow factor with their cake because it's a centerpiece of the entire event. And in that case, they're going to want to have more custom work on their cake. And I really think it comes down to the customer's budget. If the customer doesn't have a lot of money to spend, then the edible images is going to be the way to go. So it all comes down to personal preference and what the customer wants. There's no shame in using edible images. I love using edible images. I do it all the time. So you just have to find what works best for you and your customer in that situation.